Good morning on what is kind of a gloomy, rainy day in southern New Hampshire. We've been having crazy weather this year, and today is bringing rain, and later on today is supposed to be some snow, so we'll see how that goes. We're back to do another kiln unloading. I loaded less in this kiln because I'm trying to dial in my firing temperature. The last kiln overfired by a whole cone, so I had a lot of pieces with glaze just running off the piece and sticking to the cookies underneath. So I'm trying to avoid that with this one, figure out the best firing schedule for my kiln. I put a cone offset in this time, so hopefully we'll get closer to cone 6 like we're aiming for. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing would be the cones. I got closer. So this one started to bend, which is the cone 7 cone. So it's a hot cone 6, but way better than the last time. Last time this one was laid right down. So hopefully that means I'll have a lot less pieces to clean up later on. I had a friend of mine reach out and ask if I could make a couple mugs for them, and he had ideas of what he wanted them to look like. So this was my first attempt. I'll let him decide if they meet his criteria, but these are some maple leaf mugs. This is just a single glaze over the top to get that nice solid green color. And then in the leaf impression, this is actually I have these little stamps, leaf stamps, so I pressed it into the clay when it was still semi-soft. And then it's an underglaze that was applied and wiped back. And the underglaze is a mixture of Amico's red and teddy bear brown. And then the inside is a nice white color. This is snow. So I think they came out very nice. We'll see what they think. There's 2 of these, a little his and hers. And then the next one, these are Amico glazes. This is more of like a smaller, maybe a cappuccino or latte cup. So this has snow on the inside and then cobalt on the bottom. So from here down was cobalt, from here up and inside was snow. And then they were overlapped with a glaze called seaweed. So they get that nice white to green to blue transition. So that one came out really cute. I like it. I like the nice white inside. And then, don't judge me, I'm not making Christmas things early. This is a plate that I made before Christmas that sat on my shelf forever waiting to get fired. And it was actually fired and glazed before the last glaze firing, but it didn't fit in the kiln. So it finally fit. So this is just a fun little reindeer plate that I made. So don't judge me. It's a little late for Christmas, but it'll be good for next year. And then I have a couple, there's actually 2 more of these further down. I was making little soy sauce dishes. So there's a set of 4. These have, I used this glaze last time. This is called Midnight Rain by Mako with some flux around the rim. So I like how it kind of breaks that texture on the edge and gets it brown. And then the back is Blue Surf, which is the base glaze of Midnight Rain, but without any of the crystals. So that's that fun blue-green modeling that it gets. So there's 2 of those. There's 2 more further down. But interestingly, they had cookies underneath them, and they did not stick to the cookies. Like the bottom actually looks really good. There was no running at all, but they spit glaze. So I'm really happy that I put cookies under them, because otherwise those little glaze drops would have been on my kiln shelf. So the cookies are disposable. If they get glaze on them, I can just throw these away, no harm, no foul. But if it was on my kiln shelf, I would have had to grind it off and wash my shelf. So I'm very happy that I thought to put cookies underneath them. And I had both of them. This one didn't do it as much, but that one had a little bit of glaze spit off too. Interesting. And the last thing on the top, I had made a few spoon rests, and they're all with a lace pattern. This one's actually really hard to see. They all have a lace pattern pressed into them, and then they had an underglaze applied and wiped back. So all 4 had a different underglaze and a different top coat. This one was a violet underglaze, and then it had sky blue put on top. And together they got pretty obscured. I mean, the blue's pretty, but you can't really see much of the purple glaze underneath it, a little bit. But I have 3 more of those down below, so we'll see if the other ones came out a little better. Removing kiln shelves. Yeah, so the next 3 came out much better. So this one was a red underglaze applied and wiped back, and then it has a glaze called Marigold from Amico on top. So it's just this really pretty yellow, but when they're together, it makes it have like kind of an orangey look, which is interesting. And then this one was a cobalt blue underglaze, violet, or what was that one? I think it was just straight up blue. And then I had wasabi on top of it, which is a really bright green. That one I think came out the best. That one looks really cool. These are just spoon rests. And the last one was a black underglaze that was wiped back with a glaze called mulberry on top, which is a purple, which also came out very pretty. I like those. And then the other 2 little soy sauce dishes. And one of those also spit on its cookie. So again, very happy that I put cookies underneath everything. And now for the mugs. A lot of these are new combinations that I was trying. So hopefully they didn't run off. This one actually came out really nice. So these are 3 different Mako glazes. This one on the bottom is called Sandstone, and it's a satiny finish. So it doesn't have that gloss to it. But it's smooth, it doesn't feel rough at all. And then over the top of that is Norse Blue, which is this inside color. And then another glaze called Aurora Green. And so like the Aurora Green is only applied at the very top, but they get very mobile when they're together. So that came out quite pretty. I like that. And then in the last kiln, if you watched the last one, I had a wood textured piece that I had applied 3 coats of the glaze, which is what it calls for, but it got really drippy on a vertical surface. So this time I only did 2 coats of the glaze and it came out so much better. This is a glaze called Oil Spot by Amico, but it really makes it look like it's wood. Love it. The bottom is also textured like wood. Then the inside is just a glaze called Textured Turquoise by Amico as well. So that one came out quite nice. This is all hand built. We had our first sticking. This was a new glaze combination that I had never tried before. This is a ultra black underglaze, so it's also satiny finish. And then over the top of that is Seaweed which is Amico, and then Clayscapes Cream. And it got very nice on this side. This drip isn't actually touching the cookie. However, that drip is. So we'll have to get that taken off later and sanded down. But all in all, that's gorgeous. I really like that. And the inside is just cream. It looks like I had a couple spots where it crawled, which means, I don't know if you'd be able to see it. Yeah, you kind of can. Right here, you see that little tan? That's the clay body underneath. So the glaze itself kind of pulled away, which could be that I had some oils on my hands that I transferred into the mug when I was glazing it. I wipe them out before I do that, but you never know. But I've heard other people have issues with the cream crawling. So it may have just been an application issue. I may have over applied it. Could have been a little too heavy. So we'll have to work on that combination again. But all in all, very pretty, very happy with how it looks. So that'll be one that I try again. And then, ooh, that one came out nice. So this is one of the ones that ran off the piece last time. It's Norse Blue on the inside from Mako, and then Winter Wood on the outside with light flux. And that flux made it really, really runny last time, and this was one of the pieces that had stuck to the shelf. And I did get some runs, but nothing went beyond that bottom edge of where I glazed. So apparently Cone 6 is a good spot for this. It still gets really, really pretty. And how much it fluxes, but it stays on the piece, which is very nice I love this combination. I love this blue on the outside with this. It's quite satiny at the bottom, so the gloss only is really up at the top. And then it gets this really nice feeling satin texture the rest of the way down. Look how pretty that handle turned out. Awesome. That makes me feel good. And then this one was a combination I had never tried before. This is Amico's wasabi underneath and then covered in seaweed. And it's just wasabi on the inside, a little bit of seaweed that wraps over the top. So if you're a fan of green, I don't know if it's picking up on the camera perfectly, but very bright on the bottom, really pretty greenish blue mixed together here. It's an interesting glaze combination, so I was happy that that one turned out. I have a bowl in the bottom of the kiln that's glazed in this, so hopefully that turned out pretty as well. Oh, we had another sticker. This was a mixture. This was, I believe, winter wood, which is a Mako glaze, and then I believe I put lustrous jade, which is an Amico glaze over the top of it, and it looks gorgeous. I mean, that inside is awesome. The outside is beautiful, but it did run off the piece. So this will take some work later. I have a diamond coated grinding disc for my Dremel. So, and you need something that's really hard, like a diamond coated disc, to actually get through the glaze. So I just cut along the bottom and then I sand the bottom with a diamond sanding pad and it smooths it right down. So it's just a pain, it takes a while. And it leaves the bottom not quite as nice as if it didn't drip at all. So that was that next shelf. I'm gonna pause for a minute so I can take my kiln shelves out. Okay, everything looks pretty down on the next shelf. I had another runner. I had tried this glaze combination last time. It was over an underglaze decal that when it ran, it obscured the decal. It was like little gnomes. So I figured I'd try it on something that didn't have a decal. And I mean, still, I don't really like I used an underglaze here. It was a soft gray underglaze, but it came out kind of sky blue, which looks a little weird. But all in all, this glaze combination is quite pretty, but wholly runny. So I'll have to either change the application so it comes up much higher on the piece so that when it runs, it doesn't get this far, or maybe just stop doing this combination. But very pretty. I'll have to grind this one off later. I really like the inside of it. That came out really nice. Let's see. Ooh. This is one of my favorite glaze combinations. These are both Amico glazes. This is cobalt and seaweed, and they're just so pretty. I just love that. I think that's gorgeous. Such a nice blue. They're very consistent when you use these two glazes. They're just so nice. If you go too light with the cobalt, you'll see the glaze body show through. So like I use B-Mix, so it's a very white clay body. So if you don't go thick enough with your cobalt, it definitely will show. But I think I put on 4 coats of cobalt for the bottom part, just so that it wouldn't have that white streakiness. But yeah, that one is just lovely. Love it. This is, my son got to go with his cousins last week to go tubing at a mountain. And my daughter's not into that. So she stayed home with me. So her fun thing to do is she wanted to come down and glaze a mug with me. So this is the Piper Special. She picked the glazes, she applied the glazes. It was a combination that I hadn't done before. I think this is Norse blue on the inside. I believe she has sandstone as a base. So you can kind of sort of see the sandstone. But she had, like, the bottom part of the mug was Norse blue. The top part was raspberry mist, and then there's a little bit of flux at both, like the top of the mug and where the two glazes met. So I think it's really cute. She did such a good job. It got so close to running off the bottom, but it didn't, so yay. She'll be so happy to see that. She was very excited to come down and help me in the studio, so she was my little assistant that night. And then let's see. Ooh, this came out really pretty. So this is sandstone as a base, and then it has a glaze called frosted lemon over the top. So frosted lemon by itself is this really buttery yellow. Not the most exciting glaze. It's nice for a liner glaze. It's not the most exciting for the outside of a piece, I don't think. But man, when you layer it over another glaze, it does all sorts of yummy, delicious mixing. You get like purple. Not sure where the purple's coming from, but man, that's very, very pretty. And the handle got really pretty too. Nice colors popping through. That's a nice one. That was a new combination, so I'm gonna have to try that one again. And then I had made a mug a while ago for my friend in New York who loves Halloween and would celebrate Halloween all year long. And at Halloween time, I made her a mug and sent it to her that had skulls and it said like unfiltered poison on it. And one of my friends in Miami saw that and was like, I need one. Can you make me one? So this is her version of that mug. I know it's not Halloween time, but to each their own. So you got a little unfiltered poison, and then it's got some skulls and roses and butterflies, because of course, why not? And then the glazes that I used on the previous mug I couldn't get, they were out, but I found this other glaze that resembles blood enough to make it look quite festive for people that love Halloween all year long. Love it. And then I had also made her, she wanted 2 mugs, so I asked if they should both be the same, and she said I could do whatever I wanted for the second one. So the second one got some hemlock root with some skulls and crossbones and some spiders, and a little, as you're drinking, there's a little skull on the bottom. And this one's glaze came out beautiful. This is sandstone with blue surf, I think, over the top. Yeah, because that's the blue surf on the inside, so hopefully she likes them. Ivy, these are for you. And the one thing I have left in here is my bowl. Let's get to pull a shelf out. Ooh, it's pretty. Okay, so this explains some things. Here's the bottom cone pack. So it's still getting too hot. The goal would to have this one right here not bend. So I actually hit cone 7 on the bottom. Not as bad on the top, but there wasn't as much stuff in the top, so I think that it probably, because it had more wear in the bottom, it got hotter. So I'm gonna have to, again, adjust how the kiln is firing to try to, it takes a while to dial in your kiln, especially a new kiln, to get it to the right temperature that works for your clay body and your glazes, which is probably why I still had a couple pieces come right off the cups onto their cookies, because it still got too hot. Plus, the application could be off too. So it's a new kiln. The elements are working really, really well, so they're firing very, very hot. Over time, as the kiln ages, those elements will start to wear down a little bit, and then I'll have to adjust as time goes on. But next firing, I'll have to set a bigger offset, I guess. So the last piece in here, I made this big serving bowl, and it came out quite nice. I'm very happy with that. So this is that same combination of wasabi on the bottom. I didn't go down far because I wasn't sure how far it was going to run, and I didn't want it to stick. But it has wasabi and then seaweed over the top. And so I did the whole thing on the inside, because if it runs, it's only going to pool in the bottom. And then I added some flux, Mako flux, around the rim, just to give that lighter variation of color where it ran on the piece. So I'm very happy with that. I think that came out quite nice. This was a hand-built piece using forms from GR Pottery Forms. I actually have a stackable set, so I stacked them up, I think 3 of them, and then you just drape the clay over, form it to it, make a foot, so awesome. All in all, very happy with the way that kiln fired. A couple little things to adjust, but I think next firing will be even closer to where I want it to be. And I definitely have a few glaze combinations that I'm going to be doing again. I would love for you to let me know in the comments which ones were your favorites, and I'll definitely make sure I work in more of those. My goal would be to find 5 or 6 combinations that are consistent and beautiful, and ones that I just want to replicate in an array of different shapes of clay bodies, you know, like mugs, bowls, plates, and then occasionally throw in new combinations to mix it up. But I have a lot of glazes right now that I probably don't need that many. So I hope you join me for the next kiln opening, and I hope you enjoyed this one. So thanks for coming along.